Mientras tanto, el Parlamento di St. Martin ha entregato il relato di Coho in Olanda. Dava dei deseo pa in che punto di vista di Nazioni Unite den, però non lo aquí. Pero, di tutta maniera, te riferisci al Consejo di organo di consulta SER. Vuoi indicare che di parti di autonomia, meste tene cuenta con e.
Den nos verslag, nos ha opinión de diferentes fracties. Una fractie não notava da sun de Sarah Westcott Williams, pero nos ha uma maneira para entregar su position paper. Most of us nos estava mais paying attention de com e Coho aiego, de com e history de Coho. Então nos lista par de pijnpunten, par de nos concerns. Minister of BZK having more strength over us, nos budget authorities being trampled on, anto mas nos a pinpoint tambe par de lijnen uta trample on our democracies, which stems mainly on the 5th of November motion. Paso fe begin se Martin abisa mayoría di parlamento na se Martin just dos out of die 5 nang mayoría abisa ku si lei aqui trampalhar riba nos local kingdom and international laws, we will not support it. Dus hoop die nos pergunta nan tabata mas ding elia e.
Our condutor recorda ding passado e presidente do Parlamento de St. Martin a indicar na notícias 3 que o Parlamento de St. Martin lo acerca a Nações Unidas para nang ponto de vista riba Coho e incorporar e ponto de vista aqui de nang relato na Holanda. A logre sa aqui?
No, no son logre paso mainly because of the Ukraine war. No haya chance entregue ainda. Pero no olvida que nos está tin 3 petitions. Uno nantaba di SR report. Anto SR report tambe a indica que si bo tinku sinta Holanda tinku sinta ku Dutch Caribbean Islands to discuss allowing them to have more autonomy. Dus we made reference to that too. Nos make reference que say tambe. Dus en nambo po bisa SR report tambe tapata un tiki negatief riba traject di Coho. Dus say tambe nos make mention.
Agora, que você quer personalmente lo vai tomar lugar pelo que trata e Coho aqui. Se nós está agora aqui e 3 parlamentos não pues a entregar um relato com lo vai seguir você quer.
Well, se mi wak contenido, content, die 3 verslagen. Aruba tabata hopi technisch. Aruba su overall, bopabi sa nabay hopi technisch. And tonanta tabata mas about the relationship, about the democratic deficits, and about the autonomy. Korsau tame mention na hopi ni autonomy. Turhende bopabi sa fe epko. Anto in de verslag na mes bopo mira uturene tati un problema ku ekoho. Nothing positive to say. Nothing positive. For the most, the countries would like to have reforms done, but reforms have to be done in liking and in the respect for the cultures of the countries. Dus, a mí personalmente, mi que mira, ta con nos a manage EPCO, para nos gouvernement a manage emission cost. Denk EPCO, nos a cinta 4 eilandos junto, nos a cinta junto, anto nos estaba tati un par de cosas que nos queda cambia, denk schedule, anto Holland met us halfway, and we came to a consensus, and the consensus, what we met each other 50-50, and we were respectful for each other, anto enang mikta spera ku gouvernement a po tende, here are pains, here are aches. I would suggest personally that Van Huffelen take the Coho, set it aside, and let's start talking about the relationship. And I mentioned it in my first introductory statement. We need to address the elephant in the room. Coho, ahabri nos hubo más cultura and democratic deficits now. Let's fix that first. And I think it should be at least something to park it, put it aside. Let's sit down and discuss equality for each other. And if we don't want that, if we feel that the relationship is tarnished, that we can't continue, we don't trust each other anymore, then let's address that too. I would love for it to go that way, my personal opinion.
St. Martin lo siendo misión que tiene otra alternativa para países en llegar a fondo. El primer mandatario de Isla, Silveria Jacobs, afirmó acuerdo con Naciones Unidas para St. Martin en el fondo y lo ayudarán con 4 puntos. Presidente del Parlamento de Isla, Grisha Heyliger, che pa uitursa di possibilità aqui pa nos território.
Relacionado com o trajecto de Coho andando, nós a conversar com o presidente do Parlamento de Sint Maarten, senhora Grisha Heyliger, que tem indicado que agora aqui o governo de três países de parte do Caribe, do Reino Holandês, tem que tomar posição.
O governo tem que, for sure, take a stand and continue fighting for the autonomy of the country. My personal opinion again, I keep saying that and I have to say that. I think, you cannot give up your autonomy to help people to request aid of something that you didn't create. And yes, I'm not saying that we're 12 years old, the 12 years as country Sint Maarten, and of course reforms are much needed, but it took certain countries like Holland years and years and years, maybe even hundreds of years to get things done right. You can't expect us to get it done in 6 years when it took you hundreds of years. Let's be realistic. Recently, our Prime Minister signed an agreement, misquote a agreement. It's called the new United Nations Multi-Country Sustainable Development Framework. Now, what is that? It's going to focus on increasing the support to the economic resilience agenda of the country. That sounds familiar, toch? Sounds like reforms. Sounds like our national plan. It will also intensify efforts to ensure the realization of human rights. It will also give a strong commitment in enhancing inclusive disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. Sekemen, Nanta Relisa Sint Maarten is in a hurricane belt, and we're going to always be touched by climate change, for sure. And lastly, and most importantly, it will support and ensure that the Caribbean society remains peaceful and in a just society. It's the quater targets that the UN is going to help Sint Maarten with. Our Prime Minister just signed that in February. Now, other countries signed this as well. Barbados signed it. Belize signed it. Bermuda signed it. The BVIs, who is also a non-self-governing territory, who still has remnants of colonialism in there, not an autonomous country, also signed it. So anyone can sign it. I don't know if Curacao signed it. I don't know if Aruba signed it, but we signed it. And that means we can now receive grants to help us with our reforms. And there are possibilities in the United Nations. And that's where I think we should be going, because during IPCO, it's the Dutch taxpayers' money. It's the Dutch taxpayers' money. Well, if you don't want to pay it, and the Dutch taxpayers come, si eta being ku conditions, eta being ku control, si eta being ku touch our autonomy, then sorry, we'll find another way. And respect that.
Pues, e país nang siguro ting otro alternativa para llegar na fondo. Y fondo, manepo por escucha kuta grant, pues di regalo.
This is the United Nations reaching out to us and helping us via grants. So there's a lot of things she still has to negotiate. She needs to present our national plan to them. And then it's still in negotiation phases how they're going to help us, but it is there as grant. So there's other possibilities outside of the kingdom. And that's what I alluded to years ago, 2 years, a year and a half ago, when I presented the Plasterk letter. Plasterk was a minister in 2017. He came out with a letter saying, hey, these countries, these Dutch Caribbean countries, can seek capacity building outside of the kingdom. The UN can assist with that. If it's such a burden for Holland to help their own kingdom partners and feeling that they don't trust us enough to do whatever with the money, then let's find another way out. It's really hurts to know that is the direction it feels we're going in. But Holland is helping other countries with grants free. And we're in the kingdom, and we have to give up pounds and pounds of our autonomy for help. So Holland, I think, and I'm talking to you from the bottom of my heart as a Dutch citizen of the Dutch kingdom, sit back, put the coho aside, let's discuss our relationship. Hence, one of the aanspraakpunten in de afspraaklijst from the IPCO, we mentioned that we're going to start executing the De Graaf and the Van Raak motion. And one of them is our parliaments are going to ask our governments, how far are they with that? So what are we going to do? Allow you to control? Are we going to park that decision aside? Knops did it with the geschillenregeling. Maybe Van Huffelen might consider doing it. Park it aside and let's discuss our relationship. Is this relationship going to work or not? Because if I'm going to give you control, I have to trust you enough. And I think, my personal opinion again, that's where it should be. Let's discuss the huge elephants in the room.